There comes a moment in every man's life when he looks at himself in the mirror and realizes he's been living below his potential. He sees the reflection of a man who could be more sharper, stronger, more focused, more alive. But most men will turn away. They'll adjust their tie, wipe the fog off the glass, and pretend they didn't just stare into the eyes of their own weakness. A few, however, won't look away. They'll feel that silent discomfort as a challenge. And that discomfort, that friction between who you are and who you could be, is where greatness is born. The first truth you must accept is brutal but liberating. Life doesn't care about you. The universe isn't here to make you happy, wealthy, or comfortable. It's here to test your strength. Every obstacle, every betrayal, every failure is the world asking, how bad do you want it? Most people break. They crumble at the first sign of difficulty because they've been conditioned to expect comfort. Schools teach obedience, not ambition. Society teaches submission, not self-reliance. And so they grow up soft, addicted to distraction, allergic to responsibility, terrified of effort. But if you can learn to embrace reality for what it is, not fair, not kind, but full of opportunity for those who refuse to quit, you become untouchable. Life respects one thing only: effort backed by resilience. You can lose, you can fail, you can fall 1,000 times, but if you keep rising, life eventually bows in submission to your will. That's the truth every winner lives by. The greatest battlefield you will ever face is not out there in the world. It's inside your own head. Your mind is both your most powerful weapon and your most dangerous enemy. The same voice that tells you to push harder can whisper doubts that paralyze you. The same imagination that envisions greatness can conjure excuses that justify mediocrity. The weak man lets his mind control him. The strong man trains his mind to obey. Every day, your thoughts are fighting for dominance, fear against faith, laziness against discipline, comfort against purpose. And most men lose this war before the day even begins, because they wake up reacting instead of attacking. They check their phone before they check their goals. They scroll through illusions instead of chasing reality. They feed their mind junk and wonder why they feel hollow. If you want to win in life, you must become the commander of your own mind. Train your thoughts as if they were soldiers. No negativity is allowed in the ranks. No doubt is allowed to take root. When the voice of weakness speaks, silence it with action. When fear whispers, drown it in discipline. The mind obeys the man who acts, not the man who complains. The foundation of all power is discipline. Discipline is the difference between a man who dreams and a man who builds. It is the bridge between potential and achievement, between ideas and reality. People love to talk about motivation as if motivation is some magical fuel that will carry them to success. But motivation is a spark, not a fire. Discipline is the furnace that keeps you burning long after the spark has died. You will not always feel like training. You will not always feel like working, or reading, or building. But the man who acts regardless of his emotions is the man who becomes unstoppable. Pain is part of the process. In fact, it is the process. Pain is the universe's way of carving strength into your soul. Every rep, every failure, every sleepless night is sculpting a version of you that's sharper, more resilient, more capable. The weak avoid pain, the strong chase it. Because they understand something. The weak never will. Pain is information. Pain tells you where you need to grow. Pain reveals who you really are when everything is stripped away. And if you can learn to find comfort in discomfort, you will rise above everyone who hides behind excuses. Every empire begins in the mind of one man who refuses to accept the limits of his reality. Vision is the fuel of purpose. Without it, you're just surviving, moving through life like a ghost, reacting to whatever comes your way. But when you have a vision, the world bends around your will. You stop chasing temporary pleasure and start building lasting purpose. You stop asking for permission and start creating opportunity. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they lack clarity. They don't know what they truly want. And when you don't know where you're going, every distraction looks like a destination. The man with vision is dangerous because he is immune to distraction. His eyes are fixed on a horizon only he can see. He knows where he's going, and every action, every word, every sacrifice moves him closer. If you want to live with power, define your vision so clearly that it becomes a command. Write it down, feel it, breathe it, obsess over it until it burns inside you. Because once a vision becomes obsession, reality has no choice but to catch up. The modern world has tried to kill masculinity. It calls strength toxic, ambition, arrogance, and dominance oppression. But masculinity isn't evil, it's essential. It's the force that builds empires, protects families, and drives progress. To be a man is to carry weight. To wake up knowing the world doesn't owe you anything but your family, your brothers, your people might depend on your strength. A real man doesn't run from responsibility, he runs toward it. He doesn't blame others, he takes ownership. If something goes wrong, he says, it's my fault. If something needs fixing, he says, I'll handle it. That's power. That's leadership. Responsibility is what forges men into steel. When life hits you, you don't cry, you calculate. You don't retreat, you reload. Because the world respects competence, not complaints. The more responsibility you accept, the stronger you become. And when you become strong enough, you start to realize that freedom and responsibility are the same thing. The more you take on, the more control you gain. Money isn't everything, but it's freedom's language. To the weak, money is greed. To the wise, money is leverage, the power to live on your own terms. A man should never be enslaved by a system that rewards mediocrity and punishes independence. If you depend on someone else for your survival, you will always be a slave to their decisions. True freedom begins when you build something that cannot be taken from you. Build your empire not just in wealth, but in skill, in discipline, in respect. Be the man who cannot be replaced. Because the world doesn't remember the comfortable, it remembers the conquerors, the ones who demanded more from themselves when others were satisfied. A man's environment shapes his destiny. Surround yourself with weak men, and you'll drown in mediocrity. Surround yourself with lions, and you'll roar louder than ever before. Competition isn't your enemy, it's your mirror. It shows you where you stand. If you can't handle competition, you can't handle victory. Because success attracts rivals, envy, and resistance. But iron sharpens iron. The presence of another strong man should inspire you, not intimidate you. Brotherhood is about mutual elevation, men who challenge each other, push each other, and never allow weakness to go unaddressed. In such an environment, greatness is inevitable. Every man dies, but not every man truly lives. You cannot control when your time will end, but you can control what your time will mean. The question is not how long you will live, but how deeply your existence will echo after you're gone. Legacy is not about statues or fame, it's about impact. It's about the lives you touch, the strength you embody, and the standard you leave behind. When you die, people should feel the void of your absence. The world should remember that you were here not as another man who existed, but as a force that shaped his reality. To achieve this, you must live with intention. Every action must be deliberate. Every decision must serve a purpose greater than comfort. Because men who chase comfort leave nothing behind. But men who chase, meaning carve their names into eternity, the secret to everything, success, happiness, fulfillment, is simple. Control your mind or it will control you. The mind is the ultimate weapon. But like any weapon, it must be forged in fire and sharpened through struggle. When you master your thoughts, you master your destiny. The world will try to distract you, to soften you, to make you forget who you are. Don't let it. You are not meant to be ordinary. You are meant to lead, to conquer, to rise. The man who walks into chaos with a calm mind is unstoppable because he understands that the storm is not his enemy, it is his environment. So sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, discipline your spirit. When the world looks into your eyes, let it see a man who cannot be broken. Because once your mindset becomes unshakable, your reality becomes inevitable. In the end, the difference between the weak and the strong, the average and the exceptional, is mindset. Your mind is your kingdom. Guard it, train it, and rule it with authority. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out, to build, to dominate, to lead. The question is not whether you can become great. The question is whether you'll demand it from yourself every single day until greatness has no choice but to submit.